Hello, and welcome to HEYS Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about Sean Stone's book, The New World Order, but because I'm tired and I've been battling with the tech gremlins for nearly 3 hours now, instead of giving you my review of the book, this is going to be a reading of the foreword to the book, which was written by Richard Grove. If you're curious, do what I did, type his name into a search engine and then see what comes up, and it could change your life. But I'm not feeling so, regardless of what this introduction might lead you to believe, I'm not feeling so good with words right now. And so I thought I would just read through the foreword because it's an excellent piece of work on its own, in its own right, and it's very valuable. So I want to preserve it here. Yeah, it's quite a few pages long, but worth every word. So, foreword to New World Order by Sean Stone, and this was written by Richard Grove. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. R. Buckminster Fuller. We have an expression in our English-speaking culture, a metaphorical idiom which represents an obvious truth, but recognizing that the truth carries with it an obvious risk and/or problems, it thus goes unnamed, unstudied, and undiscussed. That's the elephant in the living room, as the saying goes. This book provides a rewarding journey for those who don't know anything about the topic, as well as for those who think they already know quite a bit. For the average individual, it provides the framework of the New World Order. And for the academic and serious researcher, this book relates a copious amount of real-world facts which are beyond refute and which must be considered in formulating a holistic understanding of how the world works up to this point in history. In the turbulent times we live in, I think it's important to focus on the essentials, to refine our priorities, and once in a while to step back and look at the big picture. There are two main issues involved when investigating why this topic is so prevalent and yet so little recognized in public. 1. The lack of cogent and coherent learning resources, an issue solved in part by this book. And 2. The fear of ridicule, coupled with the fear of wasting time, wherein this book provides a succinct chain of logic to overcome these obstacles. I found it to be a useful tool in comprehending a massive subjective inquiry, and I think you'll likewise find it useful in growing in the right direction, aka learning your way forward. This is a book about freedom and liberty, both intellectual and physical, as it applies to individuals. Its contents represent the vanguard of a long chain of contention, continuing back thousands of years. Historically, writing was used offensively to make plans to plunder the production and wealth of others, and defensively to ward off plans of others plundering your production and wealth. In this case, the author has accurately recognized a complex plan to use words, as well as weapons, to rob individuals of their liberty, and he has demonstrated intellectual self-defense using words to simplify the complexity and demonstrate why these plans for global plunder are, by design, intellectually bankrupt and based solely on greed with motives of ever-increasing power. Writing this book was necessary in order to show why the irrational plans described herein have been successful as a method to overcome the dumbing down of individuals which made the plan possible in the first place. I've studied this topic for more than 12 years. I like to think I've looked into all the disparate puzzle pieces of this story and have built up a strong working knowledge of how all the pieces fit together. I produce podcasts, documentaries, and videos to allow the audience to teach themselves about this topic, so it's challenging to find a story, which I think I already know about, to be interesting. Unless it's a version of the story which you've never heard, with ramifications which are far-reaching. In this case, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I underestimated a few key characters in the story, and the precise organization of facts herein is not offered in any other single book. And for that, Sean Stone merits congratulations for publishing a book that is useful to everyone, from the novice reader beginning their journey to cognitive liberty to the professional with a working understanding of these events. It was gratifying to read such a thorough exposition of the facts which shed light on the prime movers whose efforts helped to convert America from a constitutional republic to an oligarchy. More on how that happened in a few moments. Having already had the privilege of reading this book, it's a pleasure to organize some useful thoughts and information to help frame out a showcase for what you're about to dive into. If you're new to this topic, this book is an excellent example of how to begin your self-education, as it provides many sparks to ignite your interest for learning more. Sean Stone has done a masterful job of addressing the public need for both an overall perspective in a general sense and the precise inner workings of the mainsprings of action in a specific sense of this subject matter. He has done this by marshalling the relevant evidence and artifacts in order to provide you with the context and details of a much talked about but rarely defined topic. Sean's efforts come to a point which I think proves to be particularly useful in formulating your own understanding of the world around you and will aid you in making important choices in your life. In the process of doing so, he takes the existing reality, inaccurate information we've come to believe through our mass media culture, and provides a coherent chain of interrelated facts which make the common misunderstandings of this topic obsolete. In many cases, non-fiction books provide windows into the past, to things which have happened before you read about them. In this case, you're reading a non-fiction book which starts in the past, brings you to the present, and with the understanding it imports, gives you an opportunity to make choices and take action as you add your input to a story which is ongoing and unfinished. For instance, a recent study published by Princeton University revealed how far America has come since the days of land of the free, home of the brave. US is an oligarchy, not a democracy, is the title of the BBC article published April 17, 2014, summarizing the findings of the Princeton oligarchy study for its audience. Quote, multivariate analysis indicates that economic elites and organized groups representing business interests have substantial independent impacts on US government policy, while average citizens and mass-based interest groups have little or no independent influence. End quote. In English, the wealthy few move policy, while the average American has little power. What happened between equal representation and being ruled by a group of non-elected rulers? This book thoroughly answers that question, giving you a chance to reverse this trend. And yet, in spite of this evidence, many people will be happy to tell you that the New World Order does not exist. Maybe, in a way, they're right. I can recall a time when I allowed folks to tell me that it didn't exist. I trusted them and believed that they knew better than I did, so I didn't do my own searching to learn about the topic. Then one day, I decided to start looking for myself, and in the case of this topic, the more you look, if you know how to look, the more you find. The people who say the New World Order doesn't exist are usually parroting that perspective because they don't know anything about it, not because there is no evidence of a New World Order in objective reality. It seems most are blocked from becoming informed because of flaws in their philosophy or their ability to identify truth, and still others have a total absence of philosophy and thus haphazardly risk their lives daily by betting on what they believe to actually represent that which exists, instead of using their power of observation. So that's part one of Richard Grove's foreword to Sean Stone's New World Order. There's actually much more to read. It's quite a long chunk, and the end of that foreword is a list of books, which is always useful to have. I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to give away too much more, but I think that gives you a very good insight into what this book is about and the value contained herein. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.